Of the life of our friends and our families that passed before us. It's a way for us to remember them. We believe their souls come back that day and they visit us, and we're able to commune with them and speak with them and enjoy the day with them.
We really just want to invite everyone to come down to Olvera Street and celebrate with us. We're one of the only places that continues to do a 9-day celebration. That's really special to us because it gives everybody the opportunity to come out and enjoy. You don't have to be Catholic or Christian or Latino even to participate. Everybody is welcome.
If they show up, there's some new spin on some of the old traditions, but also this gives us an event to have beautiful memories of the people who have gone and to celebrate them again and the happy moments that we shared with them.
Adding to ways to celebrate Dia de los Muertos, the Los Angeles Zoo has dedicated space to a beloved pet ofrenda. It's a way for guests to remember their animals or beloved pets who have passed on.
An ofrenda is an altar that's erected around Day of the Dead. It is a Hispanic tradition, a Mexican tradition. And here at the LA Zoo, we've put one up to honor our beloved pets. Any zoo guest who comes through our gates is able to participate on the weekends. You can bring your own picture, 4x6, and you can frame it here. You can decorate your frame, make a marigold. We have so many creatives in LA and little ones that love to draw their own pictures, and we welcome that too. We're ready for you to draw with a ton of Sharpies. Or we can print out a picture for you. We have staff stationed here from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. every single Saturday and Sunday until Sunday, November 3rd. Or you can just approach the ofrenda and place your item on the ofrenda. It's open all week long. Love or appreciation for all living things begins at home. How better than to celebrate that, allowing the little ones to place their first fish that passed away, or the dogs that have been part of their families their entire lives to be celebrated here in that format. And it's evolved so much in the past 4 years. It was what was considered kind of a little offbeat idea. The support and love from Angelenos has been so great. Every weekend I'm just impressed by the reactions of those visiting and the contributions. Last year we had about 1,000 contributions and about 6,000 interactions at this ofrenda. I think part of the success of the popularity of this ofrenda is that universal language of grief, and that we created a space for it. I think that's what attracts everyone to it. I think it calls to many people, and it just goes hand in hand with the love of living things.
Elevating the Latinas who have made a dent in the system and hearing their stories is the first step in leading change. LA Civil Rights hosted a powerhouse of Latinas at a panel discussion designed to amplify voices and help the next generation find their path to success.
Well, tonight we are at the Latino Theater Company in downtown Los Angeles, celebrating Latina leaders who are making a difference and making change in the city of Los Angeles.
I would like to introduce today's moderator, the Honorable Judge Cindy Panuco.
Tonight, I will be moderating the panel of these powerhouse Latinas, and one of the things that we want to talk about is what have been the struggles, what have been the challenges that they have encountered in what have been traditionally male-dominated spaces.
Unfortunately, across democratic society in this country, we have been dominated by a white, non-Hispanic male gaze. Their attitudes, their preferences, right now their angst.
I'm so excited to be here this evening. Our wonderful department and our general manager, Capri Maddox, have set up a time where Latinas can come in and listen to Latinas who are in politics and sports and media, and we're going to share our stories and talk to Latinas who are interested in getting involved in all areas of government and the private sector.
To me, the fact that any one kid in our community could not think that they could dream bigger because they never saw that that was more concerning.
Events like this are important because we often get so siloed in our own areas of work, but this brings people together who are leaders and gets us talking about how we can advance the community as a whole in all of these spaces.
Get to know each other. That's my message to you. Get to know each other. Because at the end of the day, when both of us bring our energies together, all of us bring our energies together, we're going to create magic.
We have all the representations here, all in one room. Let's talk. How can we help get more Latina representation in all of these spaces at the table, helping make decisions?
You know, often we can think and look at spaces and say, those spaces, I don't belong in that space. And I love what you said about, you know, it is about, first of all, believing that there's a space for you. And that's not permission that you should wait for others to give you.
If anything to take away from here is if you've gotten to where you're going, look back and pay it forward. And if you need help, you know where you want to go, reach out to a mentor. We're all willing to do that.
And we want to be intentional to send a strong message that together we are better. Keep the faith and keep the fight, Los Angeles.
From a 1960s idea to a month of celebrations recognizing histories, cultures, and contributions, celebrating Latino heritage has come a long way. In this week's feature story, Mayor Karen Bass hosted the city celebration for Latino heritage, along with some famous faces from the world of entertainment.
We are here celebrating Latino Heritage Month. It is so exciting. We want to say thank you to Mayor Bass for bringing together so many wonderful honorees and an opportunity to lift up our Latino culture. It's so important that we lift up all parts of culture. And today here we have a poet who is telling her story, and the Peruvian dancers represent such an important part of our culture here as well.
Los Angeles is a city that is very vibrant, and the immigrant community is deeply woven into the roots of Los Angeles, and more particularly the Latino community. And so for the city to recognize us as an important and vibrant community means so much to give us visibility as Latinos.
She doesn't like when I fall, but it builds character.
Tonight is a way of really uplifting our accomplishments, our achievements, and showing the world that, you know, we're dreaming better worlds possible for our communities.
All communities here in LA, September 15th through October 15th, we officially celebrate Latino Heritage Month. But year-long, we recognize contributions made by leaders, and we emphasize the importance of representation.
I'm Danny Trejo, and I live in the city of dreams. I live in a city that dreams can come true. It doesn't matter how far any ladder you go down, Los Angeles, hey, it's here and you can make it if you try.
La ciudad de Los Ángeles es nuestro hogar. Somos una ciudad santuaria para la comunidad latina, para la comunidad migrante, y celebrar la herencia hispana es una de las cosas que la ciudad hace para darnos visibilidad como comunidad. Soy muy orgullosa de ser una latina.
In this week's Things to Do, celebrate Dia de los Muertos at the Central Library, support local artists at Hallowzine, and visit 24th Street for a Dia de los Muertos festival. All this up next on Things to Do.
Saturday, November 2nd is Dia de los Muertos, and Los Angeles Public Library is honoring the traditions of Day of the Dead with a family celebration. Head to the Central Library for an afternoon of activities to mark this special day. Enjoy stories, music, and art in English and Spanish. Activities include a Day of the Dead ofrenda workshop, tin embossing, a community altar, and a photo booth. Learn about the cultures that celebrate this day and how it's really an occasion for joy. That's Dia de los Muertos Family Celebration at the Central Library on Saturday, November 2nd at 2 p.m. For more information, visit lapl.org/events. During this scary season, let's creep it real at Hallowzine. This community zine fest will feature the work of local zine art vendors along with a spooky art exhibition and a Dia de los Muertos community altar. It's free to attend, and this Halloween-themed event promises to be a scary good time for everyone at the Center for the Arts Eagle Rock. Join the City of Los Angeles Department of Cultural Affairs for Hallowzine on Saturday, November 2nd from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. For more information, visit culture.lacity.gov/events. It's the 19th annual Dia de los Muertos Festival at the 24th Street Theater in Los Angeles. Join Council President Marquise Harris Dawson and Council Member Eunices Hernandez along with the community for this live and local celebration. Enjoy music and dance performances on the outdoor stage. There'll also be face painting, artisan and food booths, altars, a Ferris wheel, and fun for the whole family. The festival begins at 6 p.m. at the 24th Street Theater at 24th and Hoover. There will be street closures, so allow time to park, or better yet, go Metro. The 24th Street Theater's Dia de los Muertos Festival takes place on Saturday, November 2nd at 6 p.m. For more information, see the Community tab at 24thstreet.org. And that's a look at some things to do.
And that's all for this week. I'm Natalia Bilbao, and from all of us here at LA This Week, thank you so much for joining us. Remember that you can watch us online anytime at lacityview.org, and we're also on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube. See you next time for more LA This Week.
for presentations.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of your Los Angeles City Council. Today is Friday, October 25th, 2024. I'm Councilmember John Lee. Public comment will be taken both in council chambers and via teleconferencing for today's meeting. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Blumenfield, De Leon, Harris, Dawson, Hernandez, Hutt, Krikorian, Lee, McCosker, Padilla, Park, Price, Rahman, Rodriguez, Soto Martinez, Yaroslavsky, 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business.
Approval of the minutes of October 23rd, 2024.
Councilmember McCosker moves. Councilmember Hutt seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Councilmember Park moves. Councilmember Padilla seconds.
Mr. President, there are requests. The first request is to continue item number 1 to January 24th, 2025, and to continue item 9 to November 5th, 2024.
Without objection, that shall be the order.
Item number 1 and 2 are items noticed for public hearing. Items 3 through 8 are items which public hearings have been held. On the continuation agenda, item 9 is an item for which public hearing has not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Without objection, those items are now before us. Members, do you have any items that you would like to call special? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, I would like to, before we move on, item number 2, to confirm a motion to confirm the lien. I believe Councilmember McCosker is my second. Thank you, Councilmember McCosker. What? Let's see. Which items are available to vote on now?
Yes, sir. And also, Mr. President, there is a request to continue item 3 to December 13, 2024.
Without objection, that shall be the order.
So at this point, sir, council has before its items 4 through 8 are available for council to vote on now, sir.
Madam Clerk, can you please open the roll on those items? Close the roll. Tabulate the votes.
10 ayes.
Are there any other available items to vote on before we move to public comment?
Mr. President, there are no more items for council to consider, so council may go to presentations if it would like.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I believe Council District 13 has a presentation for us.
Council President, may I make a quick announcement, please, before we do presentations?
Of course.
After? Okay. Now? Council President, send now. I'll be very fast. Thank you. I just want to highlight and uplift and welcome Miguel Contreras School of Social Justice Black Student Union here to City Hall. Please stand up. Please stand up so everybody can see y'all. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining. Y'all are the next generation of leaders. Thank you for being forward thinkers, for developing a Black Student Union at Miguel Contreras. I'm very excited to have y'all here with us today. And y'all be able to see yourselves on YouTube and on live TV on Channel 35. Thank you so much, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember Hernandez. Okay, Councilmember Soto Martinez, are we ready for the presentation?
Oh, we're going to do the groundlings first. Yes, thank you. If folks from the groundlings could come up, it'd be wonderful. Thank you. Good morning, colleagues. Councilwoman Yaroslavsky wasn't able to make it this morning, and so it is my honor on her behalf to celebrate an institution that has brought laughter, creativity, and inspiration to Los Angeles for 50 remarkable years. The Groundlings Theater and School. This is a place where a lot of improvisation, folks learn their skills on improvising. And so I got a very quick lesson before I got up here because I got to pinch it for Yaroslavsky. So hopefully I can bring a few laughs. I'm kidding. I'm not going to make anybody laugh today. Founded in 1972 by Gary Austin, the Groundlings emerged from a humble vision of a group of performers determined to hone the art of improvisation and share it with audiences. Their commitment to both the craft and community has made the Groundlings a beloved cornerstone of our city's cultural landscape. As we all know, many of those folks eventually come into District 13 to continue to perfect their craft. From this stage, countless comedians and actors have launched careers that have had an enormous impact on the entertainment industry, with alumni including Kristen Wiig, Will Forte, and Lorraine Newman, among so many others. But what separates the Groundlings apart is its deep commitment to the community. They mobilized support during the SAG-AFTRA strike last year. They've held multiple Adopt a Groundlings show to support local animal shelters. And that is because they understand that at the core of what they do is bringing people together, making us laugh, and the joy, and make sure that we always center the community. And so it is with great pleasure that I introduce our next speaker, Steve White, who is an original alumni of the Groundlings.
Thank you so much. I want to thank this City Council for their support of the arts, which has continued. And I want to hearken back to a City Council in the 1970s that had Zev Yaroslavsky on it and a guy named Joel Wax. And they took mercy on a little theater on Melrose Boulevard that couldn't get open because we didn't have parking. And they decided that the arts were more important than parking, although that's debatable today. And so they gave us a waiver, and because of that, there is a Groundlings that has been around for 50 years and has entertained thousands and thousands of people in Los Angeles. So I wanted to thank this City Council for that. Oh, okay. And Laird is going to keep.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for this this wonderful day, Groundlings Day. I've been a member of the Groundlings for about 16 years, 2 years alumni. The only thing that might be a problem here would be if it were to ever be confused with Groundhog Day. But we will continue to persevere and repeat doing what we do until we get it right. In the world of improvisation, I'm sure in this room there is some improvisers. We always say yes and, which simply is to go with the affirmative, and meaning add information to move things forward. But put in another way, never destroy the other person's spirit as you're creating. And that's what I think also the Groundlings is about. Now, I'd like to please introduce Lorraine Newman, one of our Groundlings founders.
Guys, hi, thank you. I'm a second-generation native of Los Angeles. My dad was born here in 1916. I love Los Angeles. In the early 1970s, I started to take classes with Gary Austin, and that's all the Groundlings were at the time. And here it is, 50 years later, an institution. When I first went to Saturday Night Live, nobody had heard of us, and I got endless teasing from Belushi and Aykroyd and Chevy Chase saying, "What's that group you come from, the Groundhogs?" I was like, you guys, thanks a lot. And here we are, the farm team for Saturday Night Live. Will Ferrell, Maya Rudolph, Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy, Phil Hartman, and countless others have shaped the style and tone of comedy today, and I could not be more proud. Thank you so much for this incredible honor.
Yes, and with that, I want to say thank you, colleagues. And so with this resolution, we officially declare October 19th as the Groundlings Day in Los Angeles, recognizing their legacy, their impact, and ongoing contributions. So please join me in honoring the Groundlings' exceptional journey and all the joy they bring to the city of Los Angeles.
Councilmember Soto Martinez, if I may, as a young man in the 1990s, I worked on Melrose. Groundlings has always been a part of my adult life, and I just want to say thank you for bringing a little laughter to the city of Los Angeles.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay.
And then we'll take some photos. You got it?
Mr. Soto Martinez, I believe you have a second presentation.
I do. Thank you so much, Council President. Cool. I'd like to invite folks from FACLA, if they can please come up. Sorry, LaFace. Sorry, LaFace. FACLA, that's another institution. Yes, and Councilmember Hutt is also be joining me.
And then this is the,
Okay, you want to... Okay, bring the councilwoman. Councilwoman Hutt. Thank you so much. Good morning once again, colleagues. I'd like to start off by saying Mabuhay. So to begin our presentation, I'm pleased to introduce Monique Dionisio to sing the Philippine National Anthem.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, halab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay, lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisiil, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mo'y bughaw, may dilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal, ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pamay di magdidilim, lupa ng araw ng hatid pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya ng may mag-aapi ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monique, for your wonderful, beautiful voice. Thank you so much, everyone. You know, as the council member of the 13th district that represents a historic Filipino town, it's always my honor to be part of these presentations whenever the Philippine community comes together. I'm joined today by Filipino dignitaries, community groups, and city employees as we uplift, honor, and highlight the incredible impact the Filipino Americans have made in our communities. As a former labor organizer, it's a very personal thing for me because we know it's important to recognize the role of the Filipino leaders and their deep connection with the Latino community, specifically in the labor movement. We know leaders like Larry Itzleong and Philip Vera Cruz, who organized alongside Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta and so many other Filipino and Latino organizers of the Delano Grape Strike in the 1960s. And this created a deep and unbreakable bond among our communities that we know when folks, when we talk about these communities, we're talking about uniting folks, and real leaders come together to unite those two communities. So today, when I think about the essential workers, I think about the Filipina healthcare workers and home care workers who saved us during the pandemic, who were with our loved ones, and many times were there when we were not able to be there. They were there as our loved ones took their final breath on this earth. Just like this week at Kaiser Permanente, I met some Filipina mental health workers who are actually on strike right now as the Philippine community continues to lead so much of the fight for economic and social justice. Finally, we must also celebrate the rich food, the culture, and the values of the Filipino community and what that brings to Los Angeles. As part of today's celebration, we have the James Beard winning chef, Lord Mayor Yera, here with us today, and we'll also be having some of the food in the back, so y'all can enjoy that as well, who has brought us some delicious chicken, rice, mushrooms, and tofu for all of us to eat. I hope we all take this chance to appreciate the contributions of the Filipino community that are far too overlooked. And now I'd like to bring up my fellow colleague and friend, Councilwoman Hutt, to also share some remarks.
Thank you, Councilmember Soto Martinez, and thank you, Mr. Chair, colleagues. Filipino Heritage Month is a time to reflect on the rich tapestry of culture, history, and the contributions that Filipinos have woven into the fabric of our nation, and specifically here in Los Angeles. In our city, the contributions of the Filo community are incomparable. We see it in our neighborhoods, from the small businesses, shops, and restaurants that offer a taste of the Philippines, to the festivals that celebrate the beautiful culture of the heritage. The Filipino community has been an integral part of the American history since the 16th century. As we reflect on Filipino heritage, let us remember the remarkable leaders who have paved the way for us. Just like my colleague said, the contributions that trailblazers like Larry Idalong, Philip Vera Cruz made were incredible. In my life in the 70s, we didn't even eat grapes because we stood in solidarity in my household. I don't know who else stood in solidarity like that, but my mother was not having it. We were following our farm worker friends. Also, Jose Rizal, whose writings inspired generations, and Carlos Busalon, whose stories highlighted the Filipino-American experience. These individuals not only fought for their rights, but also fostered a sense of pride in the entire Filipino community. As Angelinos, we're blessed to have a historic Filipino town in our great city, and I got like a little sliver in the 10th district. As one of the 50 coolest neighborhoods in the world, it's our one-stop shop for everything you need. My love language, in case you didn't know it, is food. So if you're in Filipino town, then you have to stop by Boba Guys to get some delicious milk tea, and then head down to the park's finest for some incredible barbecue with the Filipino twist. As we celebrate Filipino Heritage Month, let's continue to commit ourselves to fostering understanding and respect for all cultures. Let's uplift and support one another, ensuring that the stories of our diverse backgrounds continue to enrich the natives of our nation and the narrative of our city. In closing, I invite everyone to engage with the values of the Filipino heritage, whether it's through food, music, art, or conversation. Let us celebrate the incredible contributions of Filipinos in Los Angeles and beyond. And let us continue to build a future where every culture is honored, appreciated, and celebrated. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Hutt. Next up, I'd like to introduce the first Filipino-American to hold elected office in the city, but hopefully not the last, City Controller Kenneth Mejia.
Good morning, everyone. Magandang umaga po. Good morning. Mabuhay. My name is Kenneth Mejia. I am honored to be here to represent our kababayan, our peoples, in here in City Hall. I want to thank Councilmember Soto Martinez for giving space today, to Councilmember Heather Hutt for speaking as well. I also want to give a shout out to one of my family members, the president of LaFace, Lalita Mejia. Just kidding, we're not related, but Lalita Mejia is the president of the Los Angeles Filipino Association of City Employees. And raise your hand here if you're a Filipino city employee, and let's give a round of applause for our city employees here who do great work. In the city controller's office, a third of us are Filipinos. Who knew that Filipinos like accounting, right? So we do that stuff here. And I also want to give a special thanks to our Commissioner, Susana Reyes, my tita, or my aunt, who knew me since I was a little kid. So everything comes full circle. And I also want to give a congratulations to Chef Maynard Lara. Let's give it up for him. He has one of the award of the James Beard. We're gonna get some good food later. And last night we also celebrated in the forecourt, thanks to our general manager of street lighting, Miguel Sangalang, where we honored Apple the App from Black Eyed Peas. We honored Vicky Rowland, the first owner of a hospital, a Filipino owner of a U.S. hospital, and SIPA. And also Chef Maynard. And so, you know, the spirit of this month's Filipino American History Month is Bayanihan. And Bayanihan, it essentially means we're coming together as a people, as a community, and we're giving back, and we're not asking for anything in return. And when you think about the people who have come here when our ancestors came here in Morro Bay in 1587, and all the struggles that have come since, whether it's the work we've done in the labor movement, the unseen nurses, the amazing entertainment that we bring through our dancing, through our singing, and also through the amazing food that we bring, we're always giving back. We are a giving people, and that's what, when I am doing my job as city controller, I want to make sure that I'm giving back to the community and making sure people have that information to make the best decisions, and so we can help this community. And as I hope as a city council and as a city hall that we could continue to do the great work in the spirit of Bayanihan. And I just want to say, yeah, so thank you, and happy Filipino American History Month, everyone. Thank you. Mabuhay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Controller. Our next speaker became the first Filipino American LADWP Commissioner in 2019 and now serves on the Board of Public Works. I'm pleased to introduce our everyone's tita, Commissioner Susana Reyes.
Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Good morning. Mabuhay. So for over 30 years, October has been designated as Filipino American History Month in commemoration of the first Filipinos arrived in Morro Bay in 1587. And this month was also chosen in celebration of famed Filipino American labor leader Larry E. Leong's birthday. It's important to honor and recognize the contributions of Filipino Americans, both past and present, who have exemplified the Bayanihan spirit. Repeat, Bayanihan, which means community spirit, locking arms, being together in our diverse city of Los Angeles. More than 500,000 Filipino Americans call LA County home, the largest population of Filipinos outside the Philippines. Filipinos have played a significant role in LA's history, and since the very beginning, LA's large and vibrant Filipino-American community have continued to make major contributions to the city's history, culture, economy, and much more. And that's why every year when we hold our Filipino-American History Month at City Hall, we honor those outstanding leaders, and there are many more here in the city of LA. For these reasons, it's important to spend time this month sharing stories and reflecting on the Filipino-American history that is often forgotten or goes untold. Now more than ever, we must come together in celebration of the many diverse communities that make Los Angeles a better place. I also want to recognize LaFace, because LaFace is an icon. It's a major affinity organization that has fostered the advancement of Filipinos and other minorities in city services for more than 40 years. So let's have a big round of applause for LaFace today. We're also honoring them because they're the ones who are pushing for advancement. So as a proud Filipino American, it brings me great joy to see so many fellow Filipino Americans serving this great city day after day, delivering outstanding services and rising in the ranks to become great leaders. LA is a place where everyone belongs. Let's keep it that way. And as Council Member Soto Martinez said, Makibaka, which means fight on, live on, mabuhay everyone. Thank you.
Let's go. Thank you so much, Commissioner Reyes. Love that's my favorite chant. I actually learned that on the picket line with Filipino workers in Long Beach, so thank you for bringing that in here. Next, I'm pleased to introduce Lolita Mejia, the president of LaFace, also known as the Los Angeles Filipino Association of City Employees.
Honorable City Council President, City Council members, Council Member Hugo Soto Martinez, Commissioner Reyes, Deputy Counsel General Alnie Gamble, my younger brother, City Controller Kenneth Mejia, Honorary Chef Lord Maynard, and to everyone, good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of LaFace, Los Angeles Filipino Association of City Employees, as we proudly recognize October as the Filipino American History Month in Los Angeles. This is a significant time for us to reflect on the rich heritage and lasting contributions of Filipino Americans, not just here in Los Angeles, but throughout the country. Filipino Americans have a long and storied history in the United States dating back in 1587, when the first Filipinos landed in Morro Bay, California. Over the centuries, we have played a pivotal role in shaping this nation, from Filipino farm workers who helped ignite labor movement to the nurses and healthcare professionals who continue to serve communities nationwide, to the many city employees who work with dedication for the residents of Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, Filipino Americans have been instrumental in building bridges across communities, advocating the equity and justice, contributing to the economic, cultural, and social fabric of the city. We see this in our vibrant neighborhoods, our growing businesses, and our commitment to public service. Filipino American History Month is not just a celebration of our culture, but also a recognition of our resilience and unwavering dedication to making America a better place for all. As we honor our past, we must look to the future, continuing to empower the youth to embrace their heritage and carry forward the legacy of those who came before us. Thank you, City Council, for this important recognition and for giving Filipino Americans a platform to highlight the significance of our contributions to Los Angeles and beyond. Thank you to the city staff of Council Soto Martinez, Nick Barnes, Nelly Ruiz, Martha Aguilar, and Sofia Figueroa for making this event possible. Maraming salamat and mabuhay.
Mabuhay. Thank you so much, Lolita. Next, our next speaker is the winner of the 2024 James Beard Award for Best Chef in California, and the owner of the iconic Kuya Lord restaurant, Chef Lord Maynard, which, by the way, is also in District 13. Please welcome Chef Lord.
Good morning. Magandang umaga. Let me open my notes. Thank you, Council District 13 and Family Association of City Employees for this incredible honor, especially during this Filipino American History Month. Being recognized by the James Beard Foundation as the best chef in California is not just a personal achievement, but a victory for Filipino cuisine. It is a humbling moment, not just for me, but for every Filipino who has ever dreamed of sharing our cuisine with the world. To my family, my Kuya Lord team, and the Filipino community, this achievement is ours. Thank you for your support, and let's continue to show the world the richness and beauty of our food and culture. Mabuhay po kayong lahat.
Thank you so much, Chef. You've made the entire city of Los Angeles very proud for what you've contributed. And finally, we are honored to welcome the Deputy Consul General for the Consulate of the Philippines here in LA, Marie Alnie Gamble.
the honorable council members of the City of Los Angeles, particularly the kuya or the hermano of the historic Filipino town, Hugo Soto Martinez, and of course, Council Member Heather Hutt. Thank you very much for making this possible. Ms. Lolita Mejia and all officers and members of the LA Filipino City Association of City Employees, or LaFace. It is my honor and immense pride to accept the Los Angeles City Council's proclamation commemorating Filipino-American History Month and to stand next to these outstanding Filipino-Americans. This is an important recognition in view of the presence of thousands of Filipino-Americans working in City Hall and their important contributions in ensuring the smooth delivery of the city's services, whether they are in the front lines of public service or diligently working on the many mundane but necessary tasks that keep City Hall running and humming. I also accept this recognition on behalf of the approximately 150,000 Filipino Americans who call the City of Angels home. Filipinos have been in Los Angeles for over a century, and I am pretty sure that there is no LA neighborhood without a Filipino in it. However, our Filipino heritage and identity have oftentimes been obscured because perhaps we have been so good in adapting to American society. As such, your proclamation today also honors the often overlooked, but nonetheless equally important role and invaluable contributions of the Filipino-American community towards strengthening and enriching Los Angeles' economic and cultural diversity. As we celebrate Filipino-American History Month, we want to showcase our vibrant cultural heritage and communities which thrive in this great city. We want to celebrate the contributions and accomplishments of Filipino Americans, not just in the healthcare field, for which we obviously excel and are patently famous for, but also across a spectrum of fields in the arts, business, sciences, politics, among others. And so I thank again the City Council for the recognition, and I thank LaFace for representing the best of our Filipino identity and values in the City of Los Angeles. Since 1982, you have been a steadfast advocate for the over 2,700 LA City Filipino employees by championing their economic, educational, and cultural advancement. And if that's not enough, you also advocate for co-workers from other minority groups, thereby creating a stronger and more inclusive workplace. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat at mabuhay.
Thank you so much, Deputy Consul General, and that concludes all our speakers today.
Thank you, Councilmember Soto Martinez. Just want to say thank you to you and Councilmember Hutt for recognizing the many contributions that Filipino Americans make, not only to the city, but especially to the ones that help us run this city every single day. Happy Filipino American Month.
Thank you so much, Council President. And before we conclude, Councilwoman Hutt and I would like to present this resolution that was passed here at City Council, officially recognizing October as Filipino American History Month here in the city of Los Angeles. Thank you.
You got it? Okay.
All right. And as a reminder, we will have some food in the back for folks to enjoy. And let's hear it one more time for our amazing guests.
Thank you, council members. Councilmember Hernandez will be leading us in our Food Day LA 2024 presentation. Officers, can you please identify the person in back that's disrupting the meeting for me?
Yes, we would like to get started with this presentation, please. Thank you. Good morning, colleagues, and to everyone here as we celebrate the 13th Annual Good Food Day. The theme for Food Day 2024, Building Bridges to Healthy Food Access, reminds us that the gaps between our communities and fresh, nutritious food are too wide, and it's on us to close them. I want to commend the Los Angeles Food Policy Council for their years of work. They've led the way in helping create a just and sustainable food system in our city. Breaking down barriers is not easy, so thank you, Alba Velasquez, and the staff at the Los Angeles Food Policy Council for leading the good fight. And they're here joining us today. Affordable, healthy, culturally relevant food should not be a privilege. And for too long, entire neighborhoods have been left behind. But people have stepped up to meet the needs of our communities. Today, we are joined by good food champions from each district who are on the front lines of this fight for food justice. They represent the heart and soul of our communities, and they're not only providing food, but they're creating a sense of belonging and pride in the process. Let today be a reminder that it's not enough to talk about food access. We must actively dismantle the barriers to it. Together, we can continue to build a Los Angeles where everyone has access to healthy, affordable, and fresh food, regardless of where they live. I would now like to introduce Alba Velasquez, Executive Director at Los Angeles Food Policy Council, who will share about the organization and its initiatives.
Good morning, council members. The Los Angeles Food Policy Council is a collective impact organization working at the intersection of nutrition security, economic development, and environmental sustainability. We are here today in honor of Food Day, an annual global initiative aiming to improve nutrition, food policy, and food systems. For the last 13 years, this council has recognized and acknowledged Food Day in Los Angeles, which serves as the largest civic engagement event focused on Food Day in the city. This year, we would like to recognize Councilmember Eunice Hernandez as our sponsor of Food Day and Councilmember Tim McCosker as co-sponsor of this year's event and resolution. We have also partnered with the LA County Department of Public Health to create a series of events under the name Building Bridges to Healthy Food Access to celebrate Food Day with diverse food leaders and advocates and highlight City Council's leadership on key food access initiatives as well as recognizing outstanding good food champions in each district. Los Angeles Food Policy Council understands that ensuring communities have affordable and accessible, culturally relevant foods requires solutions rooted in cross-sector partnerships to drive food systems change. We are proud to have partnered with the City of Los Angeles and numerous partners to support consumers, small business owners, urban growers, street vendors, food recovery organization, and farmers markets on efforts such as Good Food Purchasing Program, Healthy Markets LA, Good Food Zone, Farm Fresh LA, and Urban Ag Incentive Zone policy. The legislation of street vending established EBT at all farmers markets and the Food Recovery Grant Program. We also like to acknowledge our 2024 Food Leaders Lab cohort, who are here today and represent 30 community-based leaders who are committed to driving their passion for food justice into meaningful civic engagement. Our mission is to establish a food system that emphasizes equity, health, and accessibility to more promising food future. We call for a collaborative effort involving policymakers, consumers, and communities to prioritize healthy food accessibility throughout our food supply chain. We look forward to your continued leadership and partnership on ensuring an equitable and accessible good food in Los Angeles.
Thank you so much, Alba. I would now like to pass it to my colleague, council member from the Big 1-5, Councilmember Tim McCosker.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, council member. Happy 13th Annual Food Day. Good Food Day. Colleagues and guests, I'm honored to share this space with Councilmember Hernandez on this issue, and we have the Los Angeles Food Policy Council here with us today. I so appreciate you and everything you do in the 1-5. Thank you so much. Let's hear it for the Food Policy Council. They and we are hosting the 13th annual Food Day celebration. Food Day is a national initiative aiming to inspire Americans to change our diets and our food policies. Every October, thousands of events all around the country bring Americans together to celebrate and enjoy good food and push for improved food policies. The 2024 theme for Food Day is Building Bridges to Healthy Food Access. Building bridges to healthy food access. So important in so many of our communities, especially our underserved communities, where we don't have access to good, healthy foods. And I appreciate all of the groups that are trying to build those bridges. We want to break barriers and build bridges to the critical need for healthy, nutritious food access in every single one of our neighborhoods. Part of the solution is to make our food system hyper-local by supporting small, family-owned businesses and farmers who contribute to local accessibility to enhanced food security. In that spirit, I am honored that I Heart Watts is as our 1-5 Good Food Champion. Gloria Gomez is here with Manuela Barrera, and they have a whole bunch of folks, and I'm going to visit you in community to make sure that we all celebrate this together. I Heart Watts is a branch of SBCC and Watts. It's a collective. The I Heart movement and SBCC does this all over the 1-5 for sure, but I Heart Watts is within the collective of community members and neighborhood groups that started an initiative to reclaim green spaces in Watts. Nestled on Wilmington Avenue between 93rd and 95th Street, the New Beginnings Garden is a space managed by I Heart Watts. This is a garden not only just located in the heart of the Watts community, but it remains extremely engaged and dedicated to the volunteers and residents who are in and around the area. That is the beauty of community gardens. Community gardens are so important in all of our districts. They are found right at the heart of our neighborhoods, and they provide a sense of community for everyone who comes in. Think of what they do. They promote health, they promote good food, they promote community engagement, they promote safety. And what else do? They reduce food waste, and they reduce the plastics. I mean, think about all of the things that we're working on. We're working on community health, community safety. We're trying to repair our environment. That's what community gardens do. If you can walk around the corner and get your food, and it doesn't come in a truck, and it doesn't come on an airplane, it doesn't come on a boat, it doesn't come in a plastic wrapper, think of how great that is. That network of gardens can help us cure the planet. Actually, can save human beings. The planet will be just fine without us, right? We can save ourselves. We can save the health and safety of our communities by engaging in this important issue. That's why I'm excited to be working with Councilmember Hernandez on updating the Urban Agricultural Incentive Zones Truck Gardening Ordinance. Look for that. That's coming. We're going to make sure that these gardeners have the ability to do limited sales and actually do what they're intended to do. These are not just gardens to look at, which is fine. It would be great if it was just that. But these are also gardens so that we can have foods that can serve our communities. So we have to change our codes and make sure we get with it's interesting. We have to get with the times that we're in today by going back to the times we used to be in, right? And we can do that. We can do that together. As the city of Los Angeles is home to so many built environments, we need to make sure that we are adapting our built environments to the needs of our communities. So, I want to thank you. I want to thank I Heart Watts. I want to thank all of the groups that are here. I want to thank the council member for letting me co-sponsor this with you. And I certainly want to thank and congratulate the Los Angeles Food Policy Council for all the great work you do in our communities.
And now we'd like to announce all Good Food Champions for all council offices. Council District 1, Yuhua Market, Chinatown. Yuhua Market is a 17-year-old legacy small business and essential pillar in the Chinatown community of Los Angeles. As one of the few places that includes culturally relevant produce and groceries for the residents of the community, they helped supply produce for mutual aid organizations during the pandemic and continue to be resilient in the face of displacement in the neighborhood. Please continue to support their store for fresh and healthy produce along the block of Ord Street and North Broadway. Council District 2, Casita Tacos Al Carbon, North Hollywood. Casita Taco Al Carbon is a small restaurant offering fresh, authentic Mexican dishes for the North Hollywood community. Visit them on Magnolia Boulevard in North Hollywood to try some of the best Mexican food Los Angeles has to offer. Council District 3, Vinlo Tofu, Reseda. Vinlo Tofu is a small restaurant chain in Reseda and Cerritos, creating authentic, flavorful Southeast Asian vegan cuisine prepared from fresh ingredients and bold spices. Visit their location in Reseda on Sherman Way to get a taste of their delicious dishes, offering more plant-based healthy options for the community. Council District 4, Waddles Farm, Hollywood. Waddles Farm is an organic community garden located in the heart of Hollywood, California. Since 1976, they have been serving local individuals who enjoy getting their hands dirty, growing their own food, and participating in a community of like-minded spirits. Visit them off of Hollywood Boulevard and Curson. Council District 5, Our Big Kitchen, LA, Pico Robertson. Our Big Kitchen Los Angeles is a community-run, non-denominational kitchen that prepares meals for distribution to those in need throughout Los Angeles. They believe everyone is entitled to nutritious, tasty, and high-quality meal made with compassion, that food has the power to bring people together within and across communities, to nourish those in need, and hold a purpose for those who seek to make positive impact. Sign up to volunteer with their organization. Council District 6, One Generation, Van Nuys. One Generation is committed to providing programs and services to older adults and their caregivers that can keep them safe and protected. They provide services that enable older adults to age with family, in community, or independently. They promote physical health and mental well-being, provide socialization, nutrition, access to food, and resources. This is all towards the goal of keeping older adults from tipping points of decline and avoiding or delaying preventable hospitalization and premature loss of independence. Council District 7, Mimi Market, Sylmar. Mimi Market in Sylmar was known as a liquor store for many years, but it has rebranded itself as a family-friendly retailer by offering more produce and healthy food options for their customers. This small neighborhood market is one of our Los Angeles Food Policy Council's Healthy Markets LA program participant with a true commitment to provide more healthy resources to their community. Council District 8, Deers, South Los Angeles. Deers is a small restaurant business in South LA where Southern hospitality is alive and well. Traditional Southern soul food and Creole dishes are elegantly presented with a contemporary flair. Council District 9, Root Down LA, South Los Angeles. Root Down LA gets kids and adults excited about eating and growing their veggies in South Central Los Angeles and empowers youth to succeed through healthy ventures in their communities. Their work builds public and private partnerships to increase availability of healthy food in low-income communities via entrepreneurial culinary training and catering programs for youth. Council District 10, Crenshaw Juice Co. Lamert Park. Crenshaw Juice Co. is a cold-pressed juice company producing fresh batches of organic juice blends daily. They believe in healing the community through a healthy, balanced lifestyle, which includes a balanced diet, exercise, and mental health. Their mission is to make the health and wellness a daily habit that, in turn, contributes to the health of the community as a whole. Council District 11, Alyssa James of Food Cycle LA and Abbott Kinney Merchants Association. Alyssa James is the executive director of the Abbott Kinney Merchants Association, which works to maintain the vibrancy and programming for Venice residents and visitors. Alyssa is also an avid volunteer of Food Cycle LA, which recovers and diverts surplus food to communities experiencing food insecurity. Council District 12, GH Salad Bowl Garden Club, Granada Hills. Granada Hills Salad Bowl Garden Club is a community garden that encourages individuals in the community to develop skills in self-sufficiency, healthy living, and gardening. This garden has been a pillar in the neighborhood since establishing in the 1960s with over 1.25 acres of land and 139 garden plots. Council District 13, Project Angel Food, Hollywood. Project Angel Food prepares and delivers more than 1.5 million medically tailored meals each year, free of charge to homes of men, women, and children affected by life-threatening illnesses. Under the care of their registered dietitian and in consultation with each client's primary health care managers, clients receive one-on-one nutritional counseling and a customized menu that is designed to meet the unique needs of their diagnosis and aligned with their personal dietary restrictions and preferences. Council District 14. World Harvest Charities and Family Services, Arlington Heights. World Harvest Charities and Family Services Food Bank helps to distribute food to agencies including food pantries, soup kitchens, shelters, and after-school programs for children. Since their inception in 2007 by founder Glenn Curado, they have been committed to the mission of ensuring no one goes hungry while good food goes to waste. Sign up to volunteer with their organization. Council District 15. SBC Watts. Strengthen-based community change has been providing vital resources to the communities of several Los Angeles neighborhoods for the last 50 years. Their programs, such as I Heart Farming, help introduce families to green and environmentally conscious eating, gardening, planting practices. These gardens have evolved over time from providing access to fresh, organic fruits and vegetables to also include sustainable bartering system, farm fresh eggs, along with organic honey and other sources of food that come under the umbrella of urban farming. A warm hand for all good food champions.
Thank you so much, Alba, and thank you so much to all of our good food champions here in the city of LA. Now I want to close this out by declaring Friday, October 25th, 2024 as Good Food Day here in the city of Los Angeles as a tribute to the principles of the Good Food Movement for its representation and access to healthy, culturally desired foods, a good food economy, supporting local supply chains and agriculture, advocacy addressing food equity, and commitment to promoting access to good food for all Angelinos. So please join me in recognizing the LA Food Policy Council. Thank you.
All right, before we finish, Councilmember Hutt, you'd like to say a few words?
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilmember Hernandez, Councilmember McOsker, thank you for bringing this to the city today. And from my district, I have Corey Whitted, founder of the company Crenshaw Juice, and I'm sharing juice bags with all of the members, so you'll be getting them passed out so that you'll have good juice for the rest of the weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you very much. Now, I believe we have Council District 7 and Council District 14 with a very special presentation.
Make a second. No, but you can be here. Want to get Zeb over here? Zeb's just chatting away over there. Come over here, Zeb. Guys, why are you guys over there?
Where would you like the flowers?
You can put it right here. That's fine. Why? I never seen such a people before. Derek.
Yeah, come on, this way. Hello. Good to see you.
Good to see you. How you doing?
Good, you know. Good.
Feel this area over there. That's fine.
Get in. Yeah, you can take. Andrew wants to say.
Hey, Zeb. How are you, Richard? Good to see you, man. Long time no see. Good to see you, too.
Sweetheart.
Hey,
How you doing?
how are you, man?
Good to see you.
You were great at the funeral.
Yeah,
March
this side.
over there. I didn't see that.
See you.
Someone's so upset.
Haven't seen you in a long time. Right to school yet? Good to see you.
Put my button up.
They want us.
Well, what's your ET? What's your ETA? Then we'll have to come back again. Okay, just yeah.
Welcome to our life. Every day.
I know all about it.
Every day.
I told your council president you ought to go back into court with tapes of all this shit.
Well,
Bring me in
they
as
have to be consistent about enforcing the rules. It's very simple. You can just be
Remember,
consistent about enforcing the
as
rules.
the days get longer, you only get stronger. Yeah, you gotta remember that.
They're coming up the elevator, so I don't know.
Who is?
That elevator?
The mariachi.
Oh,
They got lost.
Okay, we'll wait. That's we'll go share with the. You should go share with the president.
I'm gonna start playing while they're walking up.
Councilmember De Leon, are you ready to start?
Got a couple minutes.
It's hard work.
Cut and paste, much less than a pocket quote.
We have special guests here today. Big hand for our current mayor, Mayor Bass, and former mayor, Antonio Villaraigosa. Welcome to council chambers.
How you doing? I was gonna wear my shirt, but it doesn't fit, so.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, as well as colleagues. Today, we come together to remember and celebrate the incredible life of no other than Richard Alatorre. A man whose journey from the streets of Boyle Heights to the halls of power here in City Hall changed the political landscape of California forever. I'm honored to be here this morning with his wife, his incredible, beautiful wife, Angie. His sons, Derek and Daryl, and his beloved daughter, Melinda, along with family members and other church friends, as well as our Madam Mayor, Karen Bass, as the former mayor of the city of Los Angeles, Antonio Viraigosa, former city council member, county board supervisor of LA, Zeb Yaroslavsky, and our assemblywoman as well, Wendy Carrillo, and our great city councilwoman from San Fernando Valley, our very own Monica Rodriguez, with us today. Now, Richard Alatorre was born on May 15, 1943 in Boyle Heights to Joe Alatorre, a repairman at a stove factory, and Mary Alatorre, a beautician. He and his sister, Cecilia, were raised in East Los Angeles, a working class, predominantly Latino community that shaped his perspective and his values. Growing up in this diverse neighborhood, Richard witnessed the struggles of immigrant families striving for better lives, experiences that fueled his passion for equity and justice. His mother's quiet strength and his father's hard work made Richard understand early in life the importance of resilience and community, which would become the foundation of his life's work. Even as a young man, Richard showed signs of the leader he would become. At Garfield High School, and we're not going to hold that against Richard or his family, those bulldogs, but at Garfield High School, Richard was elected student body president, and his involvement in politics began early. He often recalled a pivotal moment back in 1960 when he heard John F. Kennedy speak for the very first time at ELAC, East Los Angeles College. Inspired by Kennedy's message of hope, Richard began handing out flyers and became involved in political campaigns, marking the beginning of his lifelong passion for advocacy. Richard's education further broadened his understanding of social issues. He earned his Bachelor's of Arts degrees from Cal State, Los Angeles, and master's degree at public administration from the University of Southern California, a place where he would hold a lifelong connection and love. We got some Trojans here with us here today.
A couple of Bruins, too.
And some Bruins as well here too, I heard. His academic achievements would prepare him to navigate the complexities of public policy and community organizing. In the late 1960s, Richard's commitment to justice led him to work with gang members and serve as a community organizer and become the Western Regional Director for the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund. There, he initiated lawsuits, litigation on behalf of Spanish-speaking children who had been wrongly assigned to classes for the mentally disabled simply because they did not speak English. His work for the U.S. Civil Rights Commission further deepened his advocacy for marginalized communities. Richard's entry into politics began in 1972 when he was elected to the California State Assembly. It was there that Richard truly began to leave his mark. And that assembly seat and variations of that assembly seat is a seat that former Mayor Antonio Viraigosa held, that I had the honor to hold, as well as Assemblywoman Wendy Carrillo. He served in the Assembly for 12 years, where he was known as a hard-nosed dealmaker and a trusted lieutenant of then-Speaker Willie Brown. Richard used his influence to ensure that the voices of the Latino community were heard, becoming a driving force behind some of the most important legislation in California history. One of Richard's most significant accomplishments in the Assembly was his work on behalf of farm workers. As chairman of the Select Committee on Farm Labor Violence, he championed legislation that culminated in the California Agricultural Labor Relations Act, which gave farm workers collective bargaining rights and elevated their status in the labor movement. Now, let me be very clear about this. This is the first time in the history of the state of California, the largest agricultural industry in the United States, to actually have collective bargaining rights, and that was because our very own Richard Alatorre. For a community that had long been exploited in silence, his work was quite revolutionary. But Richard wasn't content with just advocating for labor rights. He saw that the real path to lasting change lay in equitable political representation. In 1981, as chairman of the Historic Elections and Reapportionment Committee, Richard played a pivotal role, a central role in redistricting California's legislative and congressional boundaries. His work was pivotal in creating equitable opportunity districts and finally gave Latinos representation, transforming California's political landscape for generations to come. And I know because of his groundwork, many of us are here today because of him. That work transcended over decades, providing the diversity in the state capitol that we see today, and stands to the testament of Richard's vision and leadership. Now, Richard wasn't afraid to say he was Latino. And some say, they criticize, quote unquote, identity politics. Richard always says, I am Latino and I'm proud to be who I am. And they use that power for voice and representation in the state of California. In 1985, Richard made history once again when he became the second Latino in the 20th century to be elected to the Los Angeles City Council. He represented District 14, the same district I'm honored to serve. And for nearly 4 decades, 40 years, District 14 has been led by Latino representatives, a legacy that began with Richard Alatorre. His leadership helped ensure that the predominantly Latino and Spanish-speaking communities of Boyle Heights, Lincoln Heights, and El Sereno had a strong voice in City Hall. He became a very close friend, a very close ally of then Mayor Tom Bradley, and a powerful advocate for human and civil rights, affordable housing, and expansion of public transportation. Now, Richard's time in the council was marked by his fight to ensure that language was never a barrier to civic participation. His groundbreaking legislation on translation services made government accessible for all, regardless of the language that they spoke. Today, we have multilingual access to voting and essential public services because of his vision for a more inclusive California. And beyond his political accomplishments, Richard was a dedicated family man. He adored his wife, Angie, the love of his life. He was fortunate to have 3 children, sons Derek and Daryl, and his daughter Melinda. No matter how busy his life was, Richard was always made time for his family. He was the rock, and they were his greatest source of pride. Richard's life was one of service, of vision, an unwavering commitment to justice. He transformed California politics, giving a voice to communities that had been silenced for way too long. His legacy will continue to resonate in the halls of power, in the neighborhoods of CD14, here in City Hall, and more importantly, in the hearts of all of those who knew him and who had served with him. Richard Alatorre, our brother, may you rest in power. We thank you for your service, for your leadership, and your love for our community. Your legacy will never be forgotten. Gracias a todos. Thank you very much, everybody. Now, Mr. President, as well as colleagues, we have some very, very special guests. We have some folks who are going to speak from the heart, about the legacy of this man that they've known, who's been a mentor, who they've served with. But I want to bring up, an incredible woman who needs no introduction. She is our mayor of the great city of Los Angeles, the very great Mayor Karen Bass. Karen Bass, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Colleagues, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you, and I just want to begin by offering my condolences to Angie and to the other members of the Alatorre family. Such a loss of such a great leader. As was mentioned by the councilman, so many of us walked in his path. I remember him as an elected leader back years before I ever thought of running for office, when I was a community activist, a community organizer, looking at the path that he was leading here in Los Angeles in various different policies. And what we did in the community was acted in solidarity and supported the work that was going on here. So he served as a mentor, even if you weren't working directly with him. But we watched his power, we watched his leadership, we watched his strength, we watched the fact that he was bold and he was willing to challenge the status quo, and that gave us the inspiration to know that we could continue along that path. Later, when I became an elected official and served in the assembly, I remember calling on him many times for advice about one issue or another. And when he moved to the council, it was the same thing. He was always in support of what we were doing in South LA. And as we worked to build coalitions citywide, That was how he had led, one in Sacramento and one in Los Angeles. So I would join everyone here and say, may Richard Alatorre rest in power. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, for your very powerful and poignant words with regards to Richard's person. That being said, I want to bring up a young woman who represents the Valley, and she has been always a very powerful advocate, not just of her constituents, but also of the East Side, because of her roots in the East Side of Los Angeles as well. Let's bring up our very own Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez. Monica Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. De Leon. And just to qualify that, I've often said I'm a Valley girl with deep East Side roots because my family, when they came to Los Angeles, settled on the East Side, in the Northeast, in Cypress Park, in Highland Park. And it was in that growth as a young child that came from the San Fernando Valley and spent many, many weekends on the East Side. I got to admire and watch a man by the name of Richard Alatorre. It was through his leadership and example that informed a young 18-year-old in the San Fernando Valley of what she might aspire to become. And it was as a friend and a mentor that I attribute so much of the work that I've been able to do on the Los Angeles City Council because of that friendship and mentorship that I had the privilege of reaching out and getting support from in Richard Alatorre. I'm so honored to be part of this presentation this morning because I know if not for Richard Alatorre, I would not have a seat in the Northeast San Fernando Valley to be a representative in my community today. It was his selflessness that shaved off a piece of his own district in redistricting that afforded the second Latino council seat in the city of Los Angeles in the first councilmanic district. And I was so grateful that in his continued work and advocacy, that it was through his leadership that a third Latino seat was created in the Northeast San Fernando Valley, which was first occupied and served and represented by Richard Alarcon. This is no accident. This was work done with intentionality to say that representation matters. And he was unapologetic about being that voice for a community that was so often ignored and overlooked. But it wasn't just for our community. He was the advocate and the original coalition builder. It's why that at his services, you had the likes of Maxine Waters, of Willie Brown, of all the history from the Armenian community, that he was a bridge builder and someone who was unmistakably strong in the righteous pursuit of making sure that we all had a voice. And I am forever grateful to have known and called a friend of this great man, because it's not just today that we will honor his legacy. We bear the benefit of his work each and every day. And we make no apologies, I make no apologies, for fighting to preserve and protect that very legacy, because that is what we were elected to do. God bless you, Richard Alatorre. We love you forever.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rodriguez, for your very, very, very powerful words and the history that you have with Richard Alatorre. Next, I want to bring up someone who served with him. He was also a council member for CD14 and also our mayor of the great city of Los Angeles. Let's bring up no other than former mayor of Los Angeles and former council member of CD14, Antonio Villaraigosa. Right.
You know, I've said at various junctures in my life, whenever I've had an opportunity to break a glass ceiling, that I'm here on the shoulders of Richard Alatorre. Richard Alatorre should have been the first Latino mayor of Los Angeles. The city wasn't ready yet. I know that everything I've been able to do in my life, I've been able to do because there was a Civil Rights Act, because there was a Voting Rights Act, because people fought to open up that door, and one of those people leading the way was Richard Alatorre. And so I couldn't be more honored to be here, back again in front of a new generation of leaders. Thank you for acknowledging the contributions of this man, a man who will be remembered, a man who will be honored in his memory in the years to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barrett. Next, I want to bring up a former colleague of his and that divide that they bridged together from the west side to the east side, from Catholic churches to synagogues. They worked together, they struggled together, they debated together, but they always came together for the well-being of the city. Let's bring up our former city council member, our former county board of supervisor from the west side, Zeb Yaroslavsky, and from my former colleague from UCLA.
No, they're just cheering for Coop from last night's football game. First of all, thank you, Angie, and the Alatorre family for asking me, and Councilman De Leon asking me to be a part of this tribute. I think I'm the only person here who served on the city council with Richard. I may be wrong about that. 8.5 years here, and then a number of years on the MTA board. I want to just touch on 2 or 3 characteristics of Richard. That, first of all, we both grew up on the east side of Los Angeles. I know the east side today is like east of Beverly Hills, but it really means east of the LA River. And he grew up in East Los Angeles. He's a Garfield person. Our family grew up in, my sister and I grew up in Boyle Heights. We were Roosevelt people. And I think tonight's the game, right?
Tonight's the game.
At SoFi Stadium. So go Rough Riders is what I would say. And that was just one of the several differences of opinion that Richard and I had over the years. But I want to just say a few things about him. First of all, he was on a mission. He was no Winston Churchill when it came to oratory, but he sure was a Winston Churchill when it came to getting things done and the way he got things done. He was on a mission. His mission has already been discussed. I won't repeat it, on voting rights, on civil rights, but also on employment opportunities here. And that was chronicled in the LA Times obituary a few months ago about how he came in here with a mission to make the city's workforce, especially the public safety part of our workforce, look like Los Angeles. And he was unrelenting about getting that done. And he did get that done. And it's still a work in progress, but it started with Tom Bradley, and it got executed more by Richard than any single person that I know. So the mission he was on guided him. The second thing I wanted to say is when Richard passed, I got a call from one of the newspapers, one of my comments, and I said, the only thing I can think of is that when he was my ally, I couldn't have had a better ally. And when he was my adversary, I couldn't have had a more worthy adversary. And I hung up, and then I went to my shelf, and I took off the shelf Richard's book, Change from the Inside, which, by the way, I think is a very important book and should be read by everybody who's here and anybody who's interested in LA and the Chicano movement and the role he played in it. And I went to look at it, and he inscribed it to me, and he said, I never had a more worthy adversary. And so it kind of connected the dots. He and I sat across from each other. In those days, the horseshoe was facing the council president's seat, and Richard and I could look at each other and signal to each other what we were thinking, whether we were rolling our eyes or raising our arms. The fact of the matter was, there's an old saying around here in those days, and there's some old timers still here, that when Richard Alatorre, John Ferraro, and I agreed on something, it was a done deal, because everyone would fall into line. when Richard and I and John couldn't get together on something, then it was a problem. But the longer we served together, the more we appreciated each other and trusted each other. And I knew that when Richard gave me his word and vice versa, it could be counted on. That's a great piece of currency that all of us in public life have. And the last thing I want to say, I want to talk about Richard's character. John Wooden, the great UCLA basketball coach, wrote in one of his books that your reputation is what other people think of you. Character is who you really are. And those of us who got to sit in this horseshoe and negotiate and arm wrestle and collaborate more often than not on things that made this city and this region a better place, we got to see the character of each other quite plainly, quite clearly. And Richard Alatorre had character. He showed it in his public service career. He showed it in his relationship with his family and his kids. It showed when life dealt him a bad card and he overcame that bad hand with grace and with resilience. The man had character. And so the last time I was at this podium, I was retiring from the city council. I believe that's the last time. Yeah, thank you. And I feel the same way. Yeah, if it was up to me. Anyway, Richard and I had a great relationship here, and even a better relationship after we both left public office. And one of the great gifts that I was given by Angie was the opportunity to talk to him a few months before he passed away and just shoot the breeze with him and tease him, and he teased me. He had character. He was somebody who made a difference. He was consequential in everything he did. And when Richard acted, when Richard opened his mouth, people listened because they knew it was serious and it was backed up with his character. So thank you for making me a part of this or inviting me to be a part of this program. I miss Richard. I missed him when he was still alive and we weren't working together. I miss him even more now. And Angie, thank you again. And as we say in our tradition, may his memory be a blessing, and I'm certain that it is a blessing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Zeb. I want to bring up an incredible civic leader that we have. He's one of the great civic leaders, has a huge footprint at the University of Southern California, has a huge footprint with regards to the infrastructure projects, not just in the city of LA, but throughout the great state of California. And he's also an author of several books when it comes to Latino civic political culture. Let's bring up our great George Plott. George Plott.
I too am honored that Angie would ask me to say a few words about the great Richard Alatorre. I've been around so long, I feel like I'm part of the city family. I remember fondly John Ferraro, great president of the city council, and who could ever forget the emperor of the great ninth, Gilbert Lindsay, and then Zeb, it seems like he was chairman of the Budget Finance Committee forever and ever. For some reason, some people think or thought that Zeb and Richard didn't get along. That's actually not true, as Zeb referenced. They did a lot of great work for this city together. As for Richard, people mistakenly think of him as an East Side guy. It's not true. As Zeb mentioned, if you go to Boyle Heights, you have the temples. And if you go to Eagle Rock, you have a conservative-minded district. It really did represent the microcosm of the city. Redistricting in the city of LA is something that Richard headed up, it's been mentioned. I dare say that many of you in council, as Monica said, would not be in office today were not for the great work that Richard did. He had relationships in the West Side, the Valley, South Central. he did not have the controversy that we have today. Maybe we could learn something from Richard Alatorre. MTA, an important agency in this town. Were it not for Richard, the first chairman, no one could put together the LACTC and the RTD and make MTA what it is today. Finally, for fun, Richard loved USC. The morning he passed, he had his sweatshirt on, USC sweatshirt, and he loved USC athletics, football, basketball. Out of the kindness of my heart, I let him use my season tickets. And needless to say, I never saw them ever again. One day, there was a big game, and I asked if I could use my tickets. He said, "Oh, no, brother, I don't think so. You need to go buy your own." So finally, I just want to thank all of you to take the time this day to honor a great man, Richard Alatorre. Thank you.
Thank you very much, George. Colleagues, next I want to bring up State Legislative Representative. She represents us in the northeast part of Los Angeles, the first Salvadoran American Mexican woman to hold that position that she currently has right now as our state assembly member. Let's bring up no other than Wendy Carrillo. Assemblywoman Wendy Carrillo.
Thank you and good morning. First and foremost, my deepest condolences to the Alatorre family for sharing Richard Alatorre with the city of Los Angeles, with all of our communities, and with the state of California. His footprint has left a legacy that all of us must learn from and can grow from. Maya Angelou said it best, that when great trees fall, there is a shudder that we can all feel. And that is what we have felt with the passing of Richard Alatorre. We have felt an enormous presence around us, leaving us, but that continues to be here and that we continue to potentially follow and learn from. Serving in elected office is a sacrifice. And I know that his children, and I'm very grateful to be friends with the family, specifically with Melinda, who I worked with and who is expecting very soon. When you share public service, oftentimes there is a sacrifice of family. And your family is often put on hold to better improve the community that you represent, to better improve the state that you represent. And there is a great sacrifice. And so I just want to thank the Alatorre family for their sacrifice, for sharing a great man with the city of Los Angeles and with the state of California, who left a legacy and who continues to leave a presence in everything that we do. So thank you, council member, for this incredible ceremony and celebration of life, really, celebration of service for a great man who led our city and who led our state. Thank you very much.
Gracias, Wendy. Thank you very much for your poignant words. Next, colleagues, I want to bring up an individual who had a huge footprint, a huge influence on the whole entire state of California in terms of redistricting and knowing representation matters, and was never shamed by social media platforms to do what was right by giving a voice to those who had little or no voice in the state of California. I want to bring up the former chair of the California State Latino Legislative Caucus, Senator Richard Polanco. Senator Richard Polanco.
My condolences, Angie, to the family. We certainly miss Brother Richard. I had the opportunity to first meet Richard very early in my young adult life. Richard went to Garfield, I went to Garfield. Richard played basketball, I kind of played basketball. During the walkouts in the 60s, I began to hear the name Richard Alatorre, followed by the Chicano moratorium that took place in the East Los Angeles community. And it was Richard who was in relationship with Ernie Camacho, another dear friend of the family, As the protesters and the leaders of the Chicano movement were being arrested, it was Richard contacting Ernie Camacho to bail these brave community leaders out immediately. Richard grew up as an organizer. I was part of the Team Post program, the War on Poverty, when the federal government was engaging and investing in communities. It was also the opportunity for me to engage back then with David Lizarriga, very prominent today, leading one of the most successful community development corporations in the country. Richard, I served with Richard as staff. In 1982, I lost my first election. And for those of you who have gone through that, you know it is painful. And it is very easy for individuals to reject, for lack of a better word, and not believe. Richard did not desert me. He did not. Instead, he hired me and gave me the opportunity in 1986 to run again. And I was successful. And I am very grateful because he believed in me. But the characteristic that he showed and demonstrated time and time again, even back then, loyalty, being your word, making a difference for community. And so as he came to the council, I had the opportunity to serve. And I served 16 years in the legislature, my last 4 years as the Senate Majority Leader. And it was Richard's blueprint of reapportionment that laid the foundation for people like myself in the position to empower and bring to the public policy discussion from our community. It was Richard, Art Torres, Maxine Waters, Mike Roos, and Willie Brown that created the opportunity, who understood the value and the power of the office to make a difference. And so Richard laid the pathway, and I, as chair of the Latino Caucus, began to recruit and identify individuals. In that first cohort, six members were elected, and the change and the importance of having presence there and influence there was very prominent, and only phase one. And as chair of the Latino Caucus, because of the support and wisdom and experience that I saw from some great leaders from all walks of life, I was able, upon my retirement, to take the Latino Caucus from 7 members to 24 members. And I'm proud that as probably one of the members who supports women to office, I'm very proud of that opportunity and able to deliver. From a personal note, we're in the John Ferraro, and I first met Dan Arguello, his administrative assistant. And this is a personal thank you to my brother, because Danny was going to marry Libby, who is my wife, and we were together in this wedding, and Richard was going to be scheduled to walk into the church with the young lady who I was assigned to, and Libby runs up and says to Richard, "She's your partner," and so the rest is history. 43 years later, Libby and I have been married, and so from a very personal thank you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for not making it about you. Thank you for taking on the issues that at times as an elected body you know are the most difficult and controversial, but a man who stays to his conviction and a man who is a man of his word. Thank you, Angie, for sharing him with us, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Senator Richard Polanco. We just have two more speakers here, but I'd be remiss, obviously, if I didn't recognize and introduce a very powerful woman who was the chair of the Judiciary Committee as well, too, in the California State Senate. I never had the opportunity to serve with her, as I never had the opportunity to serve with Senator Polanco, but I know that I stand on their shoulders because of where I'm at today, and I got an opportunity to become the leader of the California State Senate. I stand on your shoulders as well as a powerful Latina woman. Senator Marta Escutia. 1 minute, too. And then we'll do Derek.
Hello, my name is Marta Escutia, former state senator and state assembly person, and I stand on the shoulders of Richard Alatorre, as well as on the shoulders of Richard Polanco. These men endorsed and helped women. They recruited women, they fundraised for women, and my political career really would have been nowhere without the two Richards. And with regard to Alatorre, I remember that when I was running for assembly in 1992, somebody said you should call him. So I called him and I said, I'm running for assembly and I would love to get your endorsement. And the only thing he said was, "Are you a Chicana?" And I said, "Yes." He goes, "Okay, I endorse you." Easiest endorsement I ever got. So Richard Alatorre, you will always be my rey, el rey, y viva el rey. Long live the king.
Now, Mr. President, as well as colleagues, representing the family, representing Angie, his beautiful wife, his rock, representing Melinda, as well as Daryl, and all of his former City Hall staffers who are present here as well today. I want to bring up Derek Alatorre, representing the family. Derek?
So I woke up this morning and I was not going to wear a tie, to be honest with you. But I heard my dad back here, "Mijo, put on a tie." And then I heard Angie's voice, "Mijo, your dad will be watching, you better put on a tie." And I wore a tie, and then I looked at George, I looked at Kevin, and I looked at no ties. And I thought, oh man, I listened to myself this time. Anyways, good morning on behalf of Angie, my brother Daryl, my sister Melinda, and our respective families. I want to thank the City Council, President Harris Dawson, especially Council Members De Leon and Rodriguez for honoring my dad today. When my father made the transition from the state legislature to down here in the City Council, he moved to this body because he saw it was an opportunity for him not only to be closer to home, but also to have a very important impact to the daily lives of the people that he represented. He also had the opportunity to make an impact to the expansion of the Latino officials on the City Council, as others have mentioned, like he did in Sacramento. He was in charge of the 1986 and 1991 council reapportionment, and with those brought in first Latina, Gloria Molina, and then the first Latino council member from San Fernando Valley, Richard Alarcon. In 1990, in both of those reapportionments, he also realized the importance of not only expanding Latino representation on the City Council, but also the importance of cementing the seats held by African Americans. He knew the coalition politics was important and all council members' voices were important. My father loved this horseshoe. He loved being here, working with his colleagues to fix things, to help the residents of the city of Los Angeles. He loved the congeniality, and sometimes not congeniality, between the council members. My dad loved the council so much that after years he left, he kept on watching the council on Channel 35. And if I can just add a couple short stories here. So where Councilmember Blumenfeld sat, my dad sat there. Next to him was Hal Burnson. And those two characters together, for those of you who, Councilman Burnson, they were funny. Councilman Burnson had a little stash in his drawer of junk food, Oreo cookies, chips, and that was heaven to my dad's stomach. He liked that kind of stuff. And Burnson went to Roosevelt, so every year, that's absolutely right, Supervisor, every year those two talked smack to each other about who was going to win, but also, when UCLA and SC played, it was Zev and my dad going at it, and who was going to win. So that was good. And then I remember one trick he played on when Councilman Alarcon got elected in his first day. So my dad sat in that first seat, and my dad didn't want to give up that seat. So Alarcon came in. He was supposed to sit there. My dad said, "No, man, I'm sitting here. You find your own seat." And that was a joke. And my dad moved over and let Alarcon sit in that seat. But that was my dad's character, a jokester too. My father also never forgot where he came from. He treated everyone with the dignity and respect they deserved, no matter their position in life. But most of all, he treated his constituents with the dignity and respect that they deserved. He never forgot that because of the hard work of previous generations, his generation and the ones moving forward have had and will have the opportunity to prosper. Our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents are the shoulders we stand on. I look at my father and I'm very proud of what he accomplished. I'm proud of the man and the father he was. I am proud of the opportunities. Oh, is that time? I am proud of the opportunities he has given to countless number of people, but I am most proud of is he never forgot where he came from in Boyle Heights, East LA, where in his heart. He went to go eat there. I took him to Cronies in East LA just before he passed, and I'll never forget that. And that's what, for me, that's what makes my dad a truly great role model for Latinos, because he was, as others have said, a man of his word. Character was important, but he was just truly a great man. And again, I want to thank you, and especially to Council members De Leon and Rodriguez for honoring my dad. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Derek, for representing the Alatorre family and colleagues. Thank you very much. And one last thing I want to mention. We're near commemorating the 30th anniversary of the massive Proposition 187 march, when we had about 150,000 people. At the time, it was the largest march in the history of California, larger than the Vietnam War marches, larger than women's marches. It was massive against Prop 187. Four main organizers, four mocosos, Fabian Nunez, Juan Jose Gutierrez, Pepe Jaques Medina, myself, and a former labor leader from Local 660, Gil Cedillo, who helped finance it right there. But Richard Alatorre was a council member at that time. And at that time, Antonio Vergoso was running for state assembly at that time. And it was Richard who got us all the permits, all the fire, with all the LAPD. It would not have been possible. And there was a lot of elected officials, including elected officials of color too, that were sort of recoiling. They were sort of kind of, we don't want to be part of this march. It's too hot. You shouldn't be marching there. Richard Alatorre was like, what do you need me to do? We'll get all the permits. We'll get it rocking and rolling. And it would not have been possible. What was at that time the largest march in the history because of Richard Alatorre. And again, I love the stories from Zev, from Antonio, from Madam Mayor, from Wendy, from Monica, from Richard, from George, because the relationships he has were beautiful. Him and Willie Brown and Maxine Waters and Mike Roos and Marta Escutia and Richard Polanco, they understood what the Voting Rights Act meant and what it meant for black districts and meant for Latino districts, there was no sort of virtual signaling, no performativeness, no social media platforming. They understood it, behind scenes, they broke bread, and they did it all together for the betterment of all individuals, because we work together when we benefit together, and loyalty and trust and character was a main thing for them, which, with our new president now today, Councilmember Marquis Harris Dawson, we're ushering a new era here, which I'm very honored to be a part of, all of us here collectively. So just want to say thank you very much, Mr. President, and I guess if any folks want to speak.
Yes, Councilmember, thank you so much. We have a few
I'll say
members
one
on.
last thing too, I forgot to mention too, I'm just reminded, Monica just reminded me, we're also Placito Olvera, El Pueblo, where Alameda Street is at, right in front of Union Station. If you're veering towards downtown LA and you veer right, that is Los Angeles Street. We're taking Los Angeles Street all the way to Arcadia, and we're gonna rename it the Richard Alatorre Legacy Way, right there, so. Yeah, of course, Mr. President, with the support of our colleagues, around the horseshoe as well, too, understanding when we move forward our votes right there. So I want to thank you very much. I want to also give these flowers to the Alatorre family. On behalf of all the council members who are present today, we give you these flowers to Angie Alatorre.
Thank you, Councilman De Leon. We have some speakers on the queue. Councilmember Harris Dawson, would like to say a few words?
Mr. Chair, and thank you so much, Council Members Rodriguez and De Leon, for bringing this presentation and the care with which you brought it to this council. It is consistent with the legacy of Councilmember Alatorre. I just want to say to Mrs. Alatorre and the Alatorre family, thank you for thinking enough of us to share your beloved husband and father with the city and the people of Los Angeles. It's a big gift. Yes, please. It's a big gift to all of us and to everybody who ever lives here or who benefits from what we've been able to accomplish has Councilmember Alatorre to thank. I never actually knew Councilman Alatorre, but I can remember watching on Channel 35 at night when they'd replay the council meetings, and when the camera would go over to that side of the room, and you'd see these just poetic struggles, is the way I'll put it, or knockdown, drag-out fights, sometimes between Mr. Alatorre and Mr. Bernsen. That seemed to be the most common one. And sometimes Mr. Holden would get involved, and Councilmember Molina might get involved. But what was so impressive to me as a young person, notwithstanding what the issues were, or standing for justice, or what side of an issue he was on, Councilman Alatorre came in the room as the sharpest person, and no matter how loud he got or how much he swung his arms, he left the room as the sharpest person in the room. He held a standard for elected officials that I think we all continue to aspire to, and he can claim credit for one of the most diverse councils that this city has ever known. That didn't just happen. He is part of the team of people that built that. And so thank you on behalf of the 4.1 million of the people of the city of Los Angeles.
Councilmember Price.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too wanted to join by thanking Councilmembers De Leon and Rodriguez for bringing the Alatorre family and friends as we celebrate today. Richard was certainly a pillar of support in my political journey, offering invaluable guidance and wisdom during my 3 campaigns for City Council, Los Angeles City Council. Who better to help elect an African American to represent a majority Latino constituency than the man who was the living embodiment of coalition building between black and brown communities. His insights illuminated my path, and so I'm deeply grateful for the influence that he had in my life. With the designation of the Richard Alatorre Day, all Angelenos can now reflect on his remarkable life and the enduring legacy that he leaves, not just in East LA, but really throughout California and the nation. Richard earned the title the Godfather of Latino politics through his extraordinary dedication, marked by his own blood, sweat, and tears. Whether as an assembly member in Sacramento or during his impactful days on the council, Richard was a political titan and a formidable champion for our neighborhoods. He fought fiercely for equity and representation, ensuring that minority voices were not only heard, but also respected and celebrated. And what I admired most always, as several have pointed out already, was his incredible courage. He was not afraid to step up, and he did. At a time when it was rare to see a Latino American or any person of color in positions of power, he stood tall, and he took no stuff. He'll always be remembered for his pivotal battles that shaped history, including the Latino voter outreach, prison reform, farm workers' rights, expanded access to translated and bilingual materials through the Dimely Alatorre Bilingual Services Act. But he was unafraid to embrace the role of being the underdog, and he championed the causes of justice, fairness, equity, and dignity for all. And so he will truly be missed as a champion. As we celebrate the Richard Alatorre Day, it's going to be a chance for us always to remember and to understand that we need to have the same kind of grit and courage and compassion that exemplified his life to make sure that we're doing all we can do to make our lives better. So thank you, Richard. We appreciate you. We still love you.
Councilmember Padilla.
Let me begin by thanking Councilmember Rodriguez and De Leon for bringing everybody here today. You know, I want to, the main thing for me is that I want to offer my condolences to the families and to the friends. To me, this is still very fresh. And, you know, as someone who also lost my father a few years ago, I want to just wish you peace. And I wish you the time to be able to properly mourn. I know that these sort of things can sometimes be really heavy on the heart through all the noise, especially when there's a lot of people that love them and share them. So that is my wish for you, that you really get your time to really grieve it and know that while you might have lost somebody, you truly do feel over time that you gained your angel. You're gonna feel it, and I'm excited for you in that capacity. You know, they say that it was in 1985 where Mr. Alatorre really revitalized the Latino political power in the city. You know, and I was born 2 years later, 1987. And as I grew older, I, you know, started to make lists of who those Latino leaders were that were really making strides in the city of Los Angeles. And I kept hearing his name. And then when I wanted to run, the first time that I wanted to run was to represent folks in the school board capacity. And that was when I first met him. And very similar, also asked me if I was Chicana, asked me if I spoke Spanish, asked me my parents' background. And every time I reached out to him through phone calls, there was three things that you always got out of it. You were motivated, and you were inspired, and I love that he always made me feel okay with being unapologetic about having an interest of representing my community. And you needed that, because when you do launch yourself, sometimes you feel like you feel guilty. You feel like you're putting yourself in a place of privilege. But he reminded you that it's okay to be unapologetic when the end goal is to represent your community. So I thank him for that, and that will be my memory with him. But also, you know, I am weeks away from representing the community on the Metro Board. And when I think about public transportation and what it means for the Latino community getting its fair share, he did a lot, right? He's the one that got us the Gold Line and connected the East Side communities. And I hope to follow his path in connecting the San Fernando Valley in the same capacity. And I look forward to future generations then saying, where else have Latinos moved? And then we also connect someday, somebody will connect us to the Antelope Valley, right? But he really was the first to really be unapologetic, to make sure that we also get our fair share in public transportation, not just here in the city, and I will remember him for that. So again, thank you for the presentation, and my condolences to everyone that was incredibly close to him and related to him. May you rest in peace.
Councilmember McCosker.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this honor, council members, colleagues, for bringing in this family, and my deepest, deepest condolences to you, Angie, and to the family. He meant a lot to me in my life. When I first came to this building, he was the chair of the all-powerful budget committee, and I was the chief deputy to the city attorney, and I had to come in and stand and deliver and explain what we were doing and why. And I was afraid of him. He was so strong, so tough, so raw. But I will tell you that I quickly learned that if he said it, it was going to come true. His character was evident in every single one of his moves, whether it was a simple move or a big move. And you could count on it. You could take it to the bank. And those were the days of John Ferraro, and I didn't have the benefit of overlapping with Zev, but it was John Ferraro and Nate Holden and Richard Alatorre. And I have to say that this word unapologetic has come up, and it was so important for a young white guy from a different kind of life to see someone who was called to serve a community and made absolutely no excuses for laying it all on the line and doing everything he possibly could to lift up the community he was called to serve. And to a young white guy, it was really important for that example of lifting up Latinos, lifting up women, Latinas. And someone said, giving everyone the respect they deserved. We know that that also means there are different levels of respect that people deserve. He would call out people that did the wrong thing. And there's only a handful of folks in my life who have meant the world to me, who I look up to, who I try to live like, and fail every day, by the way. You can imagine it's my parents, and some of you are in this room. Some of you are in this room, and one of you is not in this room, but we're honoring him today. God bless him. Welcome him into the loving arms of heaven. But I will say, one of my favorite memories, and you might remember this, Angie, several years ago, Mike Roos and Richard flew back to Notre Dame to go to a football game, and they called a kid who worked for Notre Dame, and I got him tickets. Really great tickets, really close to the field. And so because I got him tickets, I sat with him. And Notre Dame was up, and our quarterback fumbled the ball on the 1 yard line going into SC's end zone, and a defensive lineman scooped it up and scored the touchdown to win the game. Can you imagine how miserable Richard made me feel after that? It was unbelievable. But, I mean, it was so loving and it was so fun. And so God bless him and God bless you all. And thank you so much for everything that you all have done for me. And I wish I could say the same to Richard. So please accept my gratitude to him on his behalf. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCosker. Council members, I just want to say, as a former staffer here in the 90s, I had the privilege of working with Councilmember Alatorre, and it was truly an honor to be near somebody who not only made such a huge difference in our city, but throughout the great state of California. So I want to say to the family, thank you so much. Our condolences go out to you, but we appreciate you allowing us to be a part of this presentation today. Thank you, council members.
Thank you much, President Lee, to all the family. The mariachis are going to lead us in a procession out to the quad. You're welcome for the reception, or send the staff members out there for food and drink. They can bring it back. I know that we're still in session, but on behalf of the Alatorre family, the friends and loved ones, all of our VIP guests, from the bottom of our hearts, we thank each and every one of you for allowing us this opportunity to share the life of Richard Alatorre. Thank you very much. Y que viva Richard Alatorre! Viva!
Una ruta en el camino me enseñó que mi destino era rodar y rodar.
Before we go to public comment, I believe we have a brief recognition from Councilmember Monica Rodriguez.
Thank you, colleagues. Quickly, I wanted to take a moment to also recognize two individuals, although third was recognized earlier today. But two of our current representatives serving on the Board of Public Works. Today is their last day in service. I wanted to take a moment to thank for their incredible service and representation on the Board of Public Works, my former colleague, my dear friend, Michael Rico Davis, and Teresa Villegas. Thank you so much for your service on our esteemed Board of Public Works. Of course, Susana Reyes also is culminating her tenure today. And I just wanted to take a moment. You know, Mike Davis and I were both appointed back in 2013, and it was quite a shift to have all 5 members of the Board of Public Works replaced all at one time. But I will tell you, that was some of the best, most fun, and most effective collaborations that we had serving on the Board of Public Works. And, you know, well, Mike and Teresa, you guys each have an incredible legacy in service to our city in a variety of capacities. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you so much for your service on this esteemed board and for all the work that you did in your tenure. Congratulations on your service.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Gracias.
Thank you, members. We are now moving on to public comment on agenda items noticed for public hearing and items for which public shouldn't have not been held. Please note today's meeting includes a call-in option for public comment. Public comment will be taken both in person and in council chambers, in the council chambers, and also via teleconference. Madam Clerk, would you please read out the call-in information that was also provided on the agenda?
Yes, Mr. President. As indicated on the agenda, members of the public wishing to offer public comment should call 669-254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-535-8466, then press pound. Press pound again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted to the meeting, press star 9 to request to speak. When it is your turn to speak, an automated Zoom voice will ask you to press star 6 to unmute. Again, call 254-5252 and use meeting ID number 160-535-8466, then press pound. Press pound again when prompted for participant ID. Once admitted to the meeting, press star 9 to request to speak. When it is your turn to speak, an automated Zoom voice will ask you to press star 6 to unmute.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam City Attorney, would you please explain the speaking rules to members of the public calling in to speak?
To people providing public comment, when it is your turn to speak, either at the podium or on the phone, please state which of the agenda items you'd like to speak to. You will have 1 minute per item for the items for public comment. We will let you know when your time is up. When speaking on the agenda items, you must be on topic. Our goal is to get through as many speakers as we can. If you are not on topic, or if we cannot tell whether you're on topic, you will get one brief warning from me or the president. At that point, you need to immediately and clearly get on topic. If you do not do so, or you once again stray off topic, you will forfeit the rest of your speaking time, and we will move on to the next speaker. The item open for public comment today is item number 2. There's just a single item available for public comment. Members of the public may also speak for up to 1 minute for general public comment. During general public comment, members of the public may speak to any of the items or anything else in the city's subject matter jurisdiction. For members of the public calling in, when it is your turn to speak, an automated message from Zoom will prompt you to press star 6 to unmute yourself. If you do not do so, council staff will prompt you once more. At that point, you need to immediately unmute yourself, or you'll unfortunately forfeit your time, and we will move on to the next speaker. Finally, because of a brief time delay between the live meeting and the broadcast, 2 things are important. First, while you're waiting for your turn to speak, keep one ear to the phone so you hear in real time when it's your turn to press star 6. Second, if you're listening to the meeting on other devices, please turn down the volume on those devices immediately when it's your turn to speak. Between the time delay and feedback, it will cause a great deal of confusion if you continue to listen to other devices.
I will begin by calling names. Yuritsa Gonzalez, Greenspan, Ron Hubert, Audit LA, Antonia Ramirez.
Speaker, which items would you like to speak to?
All right. Mike Greenspan, Burgos District 2, name I signed up.
Speaker, which
And-
item would you like to speak to?
Now, I want to talk about the liens. I got no
You'll have
use.
1 minute.
And public comment too. I got no use for the liens. As far as I'm concerned, I don't see a need to F-bomb the liens. I just have no use for them. I think they're a very repressive way to go after property owners who are trying to do their best. As far as I'm concerned, folks, when I think of your liens, they suck a dick like this. When I say they suck a dick, I'll show you when they suck. That's what I think of your liens. Nobody's ever had the nerve to say the truth about the liens after all these years. Well, I'm saying something once and for all. I'm just tired of these liens. I don't think they're necessary, but we don't need to F-bomb them. They suck a dick. That's the basic thing about the liens. Now, there's another thing I do want to say, and that's about Alatorre.
You have 1 minute for general public comment.
Yes. We forgot to talk about one thing with Alatorre. He would go to the MTA meetings with $100 bills stuffed in his pocket. No, he didn't bring them from home. They were bribe money. All these public officials honoring somebody who took bribes. Now, his bribes were different than those of Englander, who took money bribes, hotel room bribes, liquor bill bribes, pussy bribes, along with his boy John Lee. But Alatorre took bribes for projects. And he didn't get in trouble for the bribes, he got in trouble for income tax evasion. I thought people, when De Leon does this presentation and McOsker and all the others, that we ought to know the truth. After all, it sucks a dick like this one. That's what I think of people like Alatorre taking bribes, betraying the public confidence. That's what I think. It sucks a dick. Yeah.
Before we move on to the next speaker, if you signed up for public comment, can you please go ahead and stand it to the right and we will call you one by one to come up to this dais.
Speaker, remind us of the name you signed up under and which items you'd like to speak to.
Good morning, afternoon now. Julian Alexander Makara, general comment.
You'll have 1 minute.
Thank you. Advising that in 2016, the City Planning Commission authorized a development and the address 6430-6440 Hollywood Boulevard for 26 affordable housing units, a total of 260 units. This location is currently being used as an after-hour location, which opens at 2 a.m. This is within a community redevelopment area. There was an extension given in 2003 that this development would not be able to be developed until 2029. So you have a city contract advising that this address is unable to be developed, but you have permitting that authorize private parties. It's adjacent to an elementary school, Selma Elementary School. There are parties happening tonight and tomorrow. Kids wake up in the morning and they find drunkards in Mr. Soto Martinez's neighborhood. This is not the only one. I only have 1 minute.
Next speaker.
Hey, you just said fuck the Dodgers.
Speaker, please remind us of the name you signed up under and which items you'd like to speak to.
On all items, motherfuckers.
You'll have 1
Starting
minute for
from
the
New
item
York
and
to
1 minute for
LA,
general
I
public
want
comment.
all the time I can get. Because we all know what the cost of inspections are when they come to the illegal, unconstitutional building and safety confirmation for violations regarding liens. How many more fucking properties you want to take from us, Mayor? What about that, Noodle? How much more property you want to take from us, Noodles? There's no more birria in this city to go and sell out us white niggers over the goddamn liens. And I demand, Yaroslavsky, get your goddamn daughter here to work and get these fucking liens.
Speaker, you need to get back on topic.
Bullshit here, because these liens suck a dick. So now to my non-agenda public comment. US 395-444-1969, you dirty niggers. The Yankees are gonna yank you out of the World Series because los Dodgers cuesta tanto pinche dinero para virar la juego. Yo no puedo pagar por pinche juego, entonces chinga tu pinche madres que se pierden cabrones. Fuck los Dodgers. Go Yankees, and slam it to them in a 4-4 win. Sweet. And Marquises, you dumb nigger with that MHD8, you don't know shit about ball. Get your hands out of your pocket and stop playing pocket pool, fool. Because that's the only 8 ball you got. And I got 2, and you only got 1. So you suffer from your mental health, you can suck a dick too. Mommy.
Speaker, please remind us of the name you signed up under and which item you'd like to speak to.
What the fuck does it matter? All items in general public comment.
You'll have 1 minute for each.
My goddamn 2 minutes. Look at these goddamn fake Dodger fans here today. Marquise ain't no goddamn Dodger fan. Over there, that big
Speaker,
old
you
fat
need to speak to the
Stalin.
item or we can move you to general public comment.
I want to talk about fucking item. We'll talk about item fucking 2. Over there with that sleazy FBI target, unethical pile of shit, CD12 himself is trying to get things done. trying to take and expropriate property money instead of reaching in his bag he got from Las Vegas and paying the lien himself. Why don't you motherfuckers pay the liens yourself with all that stolen cash out of Las Vegas? Let's ask old Zeb, why don't he pay that payoff money? Why not? Now, the general comment, look
You have
at
1
these
minute.
gangsters over here. We have a gangster reunion today with that filthy, dirty Zev Yaroslavsky, the worst Jewish cancer in the history of politics. That old dumb fuck gave the Valley a fucking bus line instead of a goddamn fucking train like niggas have. I want to take the train from Chatsworth over to Encino, but Zev said, no, you only get a goddamn bus. He been bussing shit for decades, and his daughter don't even work. Get your daughter back to goddamn work. Where is that fat little cunt? Your little daughter-in-law. Where come she don't come to goddamn work? And finally, Ulysses is giving us bananas out there on Spring Street to eat. She's starving us while Kevin feeds us delicious food. Re-elect Kevin De Leon, but fuck the city council.
Speaker, please remind us of the name you signed up under and which items you'd like to speak to.
I am happy to provide you with my name, but the problem is you never called my name, so
Which item would you like to speak to?
purpose of the item I would like to speak to is, can you tell me which item is open for general?
It's item number 2, and your time is running. You need to speak to the item.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't tell you my name, and
Speaker, we can move you to general public comment.
I haven't tell you, I want to speak on item number 2, but item number 2 is I am here to support this property, and I am here to support this inspection, and I am support the property owner of this property. And during
You have 1 minute for general public comment.
my general public comment is yesterday, the other day, I was saying that when I say I speak, I support Israel, the city attorney told me that is offensive comments. When I tell them that I support LAPD, the city attorney told me that is offensive comments, that is offensive to the audience. When I tell them I support law and order and I support defund the criminal, the city attorney told me that I upset a lot of the other audience. Now, city attorney, I am here to send you a clear message. If that message is offensive to you, I am happy that I offended you, because we will always support our law enforcement. We will always support for our council member Kevin De Leon. If supporting council member Kevin De Leon, that message offended you, I'm happy to offend you 24/7. If supporting President Trump, that message offended you, I'm happy to offend you every single day on your rooftop, because I am the rooftop Korean.
Speaker, please remind us of the name you signed up under and whether you'd like to speak to item 1 and general public comment.
Hello. Wait, what did you say? Sorry.
Which item would you like to speak to?
No, what did you say about the item?
Do you want to speak to item 2 and general public comment, or just general public comment?
Oh, yeah. My name is Sister Payasa. I'd like to speak on those items in general public comment, please.
You'll have 1 minute for the item and 1 minute for general public comment.
Thank you. I can't hear you through that fucking mask. Okay, so item 2, continue consider. Oh, sorry, I'm so ignorant about this. I just don't know what to say. You know what? I'll speak from the Bible. That's all I know. So afterward, Jesus' commission of the 11. You guys are
Okay, Speaker,
council,
you
right?
need to speak to the agenda item, or
Yes,
we can move you to general public
I'm
comment.
just so ignorant about these items. For item 2, something relevant though. Afterward, he appeared unto the 11 as they sat at meat and upbraided them with their unbelief and
Okay,
hardness of
Speaker,
heart.
you need to tie
Yes,
that to the
your
agenda item.
your hardness of heart, ma'am. Your hardness of heart.
Can
he
we
said
move
unto
them
them,
to general public comment?
Excuse me?
You'll have 1 minute for general public comment.
Oh, and Jesus said unto them, Go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. He that believeth and is baptized shall be saved, but he that believeth shall not be damned. And these signs shall follow them that believe. In my name shall they cast out devils. They shall speak new tongues. They shall take up serpents. And if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover. Jesus ascends to heaven. So then, after the Lord had spoken unto them, he was received up into heaven and sat on the right hand of God. And they went forth and preached everywhere, and the Lord working with them and confirming the word with signs following. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. God bless America. Thank you for my time.
Speaker, please remind us of the name you signed up under and which items you'd like to speak to.
Oh, just a general comment.
Have 1 minute.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Frank Soto. I'm a member of the Boyle Heights community. I was raised in this community, and it's great to see the mariachis and the culture and the pride that we have for being Latino and being part of LA. We talk about civil rights. We talk about nonprofits, but who is looking out for the landlords, the mom and pop landlords? So my concern is landlord-tenant rights. As a small mom and pop landlord, tenants seem to have all the rights and not the landlords. And I think that is unfair. And so what are we doing as a city to tip the scales to make it more fair and equal to landlords? You know, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Moving to the last in-person speaker.
Hello, Audit LA.
Yes, Speaker, which items would you like to speak to?
Number 2 is our early choice, right? And then public comment.
Okay, you'll have 1 minute for each.
Thank you. I do want to start off by thanking Smoke and Scan for bringing these meetings to a larger audience. I think it's great that people get to see
Speaker,
this.
you need to speak to item 2 now.
I'm sorry. Okay. Item number 2, it's, there's different nuisance places, and I guess if it's a nuisance, you guys should be fining them. I just want you to also realize that on L. Ron Hubbard Way, there's excessive nuisances going on there as well, but they never get fined. They can have 251 non-ADA compliant planters all around on 3 blocks, blocking my access to any of those streets. And that's a nuisance to me. And I would wish that you would find them. I wish one day I would see them on this, where number 2 is, and where they'll be assessed for being a nuisance, because they're a true nuisance.
You'll have 1 minute for general public comment.
Okay, again, we're going to be speaking about the planters, but right now it's also the street closers. They have endless street closure permits. Mr. Martinez, this is your district. You're well aware. They have it right now. The police are there, actually, from what I hear right now, and I hear that they're allegedly giving fake, or let's say, I don't know if they're doctored or the wrong, incorrect permits to LAPD right now because they're closing the street earlier, and they're also doing construction and putting building blocks. And apparently they're not being forth with the police. That's what I hear. It's just alleged, of course. So when I've been coming here for months, and when is anyone going to look into it? It's not fair to the community, Mr. Martinez. We need your help. The ADA community has the right to the easements, so we're asking you to please get involved. And the street has been endlessly closed, with the exception of maybe I can count on one hand how many days. It's not fair.
All right, that'll close public comment here in council chambers. If we can move to the phones.
Caller with the digits ending in 378, please unmute yourself.
I will speak to general public comment. What happened with item 9 that's on the continuation agenda?
Item 9 has been continued. You can speak to item number 2.
Okay, just general comment.
Okay, you'll have 1 minute.
All right. So today during his, why did he need to give that presentation to Kevin? You could have given it to literally anyone else. But today, Kevin, you took the opportunity to give a proud shout out to Gil Cedillo. Yeah, that's right. Gil Cedillo, he's trying to honor him and talk about how he and his redistricting commissioner were fighting for something. We're never ashamed by social media platforms to do what was right. So Kevin has basically just dropped any show now. He's just fucking proud of what he did in the redistricting process, and all of you are going to keep standing alongside him. When are any of you going to make a statement about him just proudly gloating about what he did? Are you going to renew your calls for him to resign? Are you going to do anything to hold this guy accountable for what he did? Anything. Any of you. He needs to be removed from committees. You need to stop giving him all this
Thank you,
power.
Speaker. Your time is up.
Caller with the digits ending in 1084, please unmute yourself.
Speaker, which items would you like to speak to?
Hi, I just wanted to say that everyone should read Patrick Range McDonald's
Speaker, which
investigative
items would you
report.
like to speak to?
General public comment, please.
You'll have 1 minute. Can you please turn down the volume on the other device you're using to listen to the meeting? Okay, thank
I
you.
couldn't turn it off, I'm sorry. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I just wanted to suggest that anyone who hasn't read Patrick Range McDonald's investigative reports about who all of the young, very white YIMBYs are who line up at every hearing in Sacramento here and everywhere else talking about discriminatory housing. Many of them are not from here. They've admitted they grew up in single-family homes themselves. They're groomed for this job. Check out the full-page ad in the LA Times where they've come out against rent control. Rent control had saved friends' lives in New York. I'm originally from New York. It's disgusting what these people are doing. The biggest warrior against single-family is Scott Wiener, who grew up in a single-family home in a Tony suburb of New Jersey. Are his parents racist, immoral, and wasting space the way that they call everyone else who lives in single-family homes? What's going on with the YIMBY movement is a documentary. It's totally false, and they try to influence people's votes. We are definitely follow United Neighbors, and we support the draft that the city admitted there's enough to build in commercial corridors without carving into our historic neighborhoods and our residential communities. Thank you for listening.
Seven five 4-3, please unmute yourself.
Yes, Lionel, budget advocate for Los Angeles Neighborhood Council budget advocate, speaking for myself as an individual. I read the newspaper article.
Speaker, which item would you like to
general
speak
public
to?
comment.
Okay, you'll have 1
General
minute.
public comment. I'm concerned about the budget crisis that the city of LA is facing and the potential budget cuts for city departments for the next fiscal year and city services. I urge the city council to manage our finances better and to continue to work with budget advocates and to reach out to neighborhood councils to find solutions for our budget crisis, because this is a very serious issue that I care about my city. I care about the future of the city, and I want to help as an individual. So please feel free to reach out to budgetadvocates.org and let's collaborate on finding solutions to our budget crisis. Thank you.
(4208), please unmute yourself.
Speaker, which items would you like to
Afternoon.
speak to?
It's Rob Kwan. I'd like to speak on general public comment.
You'll have 1 minute.
Our charter reform commissioners that we approved earlier this week still no Form 700s. And I want to remind you, even though HH explicitly requires filing by the time you have a vote, there is also LA Municipal Code 49.5.10. And that requires filing within 21 days of appointment, which means those two appointees have been out of compliance with the law for 2 weeks. Just saying. Ugo! I'm just curious. I've been thinking about Patrick Soon-Chong and what's going on with the St. Vincent Medical Center in your district? Before he lost, Mitch made a big stink about it. Are they just using that thing for film shoots? Is that ever going to be used for housing the homeless? I don't know. Maybe you should look into it. But I know you're really excited about the Dodgers. Please study up this weekend. We unfortunately have a stacked public safety committee, so you're the only one. You need to be on your A game with Mr. Jim McDonald. So keep that in mind as you enjoy the Dodgers. Got to make some time for that homework. Be watching. Have a nice weekend.
(7255). Please unmute yourself.
Speaker, which
This
item
is
would you like to
Richard
speak
Serrano,
to?
number 2, and public comment.
Okay, you'll have 1 minute for each.
Number 2, again, when 2010 came around, the city sends out all the inspectors to look at people that are non-compliant, to find them, to create revenue for the city. And here you're doing it again because, again, the shortfall on the general funding of $100 million. How are you going to get to June? And if the Dodgers win, how are you going to have a parade? Forget I lived through this a couple of times, but I just, like I said, I didn't expect to win. I just expected it to bring everything to light. You are creating revenue through this item, and it's not fair to the people that are assigned to protect LA to look for revenue on people that might not be financially able to be in compliance. So instead of finding them, maybe look for the help to helping them be in compliance.
You'll have 1 minute for general
Doesn't
public
take-
comment.
It doesn't take the mayor to go out there with a camera and clean up somebody's house in the front yard if that's all you can do. That's what you guys did in the West Side. You can do it for this person. You don't have to find them. Just get them the help they need. I care about the city. I really do. But stop BSing the world. Now, parking for Dodger Stadium is at $100 to $500. The McCourts have no intention to doing that gondola for free. Smoke and Scan, I appreciate your guys' following, and again, to the city of LA. If you're supporting that gondola, you're as corrupt as the McCourts trying to make that happen when they own half that property, and they should, like he said, oh, we'll give free gondola passes to the people that buy tickets. You should give free parking to the people that buy tickets at $1,700 a ticket. It doesn't matter. You really need to make it about LA. This is not about the city council. It's about the city
Thank
of
you,
LA.
Speaker. Your time is up.
Okay, now that we are going to close the phone lines and close public comment on all items, Madam Clerk, what items can we still vote on?
Mr. President, council may now vote on item number 2, sir.
Can we please open the roll on that item, close the roll, and tabulate the vote?
12 eyes.
Madam Clerk, what's next on the agenda?
Mr. President, council has motions for posting a referral.
Posted and referred.
That clears the desk, sir.
Members, any announcements? Councilmember McCosker.
Thank you so much. This week has been Lead Poisoning Prevention Week, and I want to highlight it. October 20th to 26th, tomorrow, is National Lead Poisoning Prevention Week. Together, we're raising awareness about the dangers of lead exposure and the steps that we can all take to prevent lead exposure. It poses a serious risk and threat to our residents, especially our children, women who are pregnant, women who are looking to become pregnant. Children are especially vulnerable to the harmful effects of lead, which can cause developmental issues, learning disabilities, and long-term health problems. As a representative of the 1-5, you know that I, with the mayor, have been focused on the Better Watts initiative. It's a study that showed that there was some lead in Watts water. And of course, it goes beyond water. Lead in the soil is dangerous. Lead in the paint is dangerous. Residents for decades have experienced the devastating impact of lead contamination in our communities, and we've been working alongside organizations like the Watts Labor Community Action Committee, the Mayor's Office, DWP, HACLA, and EPA to address these specific challenges in Watts. I encourage all residents, not just 1-5 residents, but throughout the city, to take action this week to get your water tested for lead, get your blood tested if you can, and be aware of the signs of lead poisoning. In the 1-5, we've had some events this week. On Wednesday at the MLK Junior Center for Public Health, we had an event where there were presentations in English and Spanish on lead 101, as well as free blood testing from the Department of Health. But today, members, on Friday, October 25th, we'll be at Nickerson Gardens. HACLA is hosting a health resource fair from 2 to 5, shortly going to start, and that's at 11250 East Compton Avenue, where we will have free blood testing for anyone who walks up. I encourage all of you to learn about lead and learn about the ways that we can avoid lead exposure, lead poisoning. So thank you very much.
All right, members, any other announcements? Seeing no other announcements, can you please stand for adjourning motions? To my left, any adjourning motions on my left? Any adjourning motions on my right? All right, council is adjourned. Go Dodgers.